Thinking about making a move to sunny Southwest Florida and planting roots at Fort Myers and Cape Coral area? Last video we discussed part 1 of the real things you need to know before moving to Southwest Florida. Well, are you ready for part 2? All right, let's jump right in. Hi everyone, it's Chelsea here, team leader for Gather Home Group with Keller Williams, Fort Myers and the Islands, bringing you another segment of living in Southwest Florida. Life is always different in different parts of the world, so it's important to know how some of those nuances might affect you. Today we're going to talk through some of the little things that might or might not have known about moving to the area. Also, last video we announced our special opportunity for viewers, so stay tuned to the end for more details on that. Just to recap, last video, we talked about details of insurances, hurricanes, what season means, property taxes, and the Lee County educational system. Today, let's kick off with some more detail about the homes themselves. Namely, we love our lanais. Now, I've heard lots of questions about how to say it, and the word is pronounced lanai. A lanai is basically an outdoor room. It's typically a screened-in enclosure attached to the home. They often have a roof. Sometimes it's under truss, but either way, it functions as a patio that's used as essentially an outdoor living room or eating space. If you have a pool, they're often enclosed by the screens to include them as part of the lanai. At least that's usually the preferred way, as it keeps pools cleaner and it's used more often without as many bugs. Being in Florida, we really value our outdoor spaces because we use them so frequently. During most seasons, it's a common place to spend time, and even during summer when it's the most uncomfortable, people will still use them on a regular basis. Just last week in August, I used my own for most of the day as it was a breezy, rainy day, and I listened to the rainstorms, and it was so pleasant to be out there listening to the rain. You can find these in all kinds of colors, but I personally prefer the lanai screens to be made of a darker aluminum, as the white aluminum will get very dirty and it will show some of the grime more often. You can also see these in varying styles of screens. For example, there's regular screens, but also stronger pet-resistant super screen. We had this type installed on our own, as our cat has been known to go right on up it, chasing bugs and lizards. I'm not sure if that's considered stronger for wind ratings or not. Maybe if you guys know the answer, you can comment below. But I figure if it can withstand Dodger, then hopefully it'll be stronger in storm season too. Also, another upgrade I see often is having a big picture window view. These have the crossbar removed so it's unobstructed. Another difference in our homes is that we prefer to use materials that are hardier to our climate. Our preferred building method is going to be concrete block, as I mentioned before, as it can withstand hurricane winds. And the block and stucco methods also help with cooling in our heat. Same with high ceilings. It's very common to see vaulted or raised ceilings here because of science. Hot air rises, cool air drops, thus helping homes stay cooler. And it's very uncommon to see wood floors here. Tile and luxury vinyls are the go-tos as they hold up better in humidity. Something else to keep in mind is how items last here. We're a coastal town, and that means that we have a higher salt content in our air. Between that and the harsh sun, things can break down a little bit quicker here. While it's common to see a roof last for decades in other areas, here a shingle roof is going to be uninsurable after 20 years unless a roofer gives its approval. And even that is a stretch for some insurance companies. HVAC systems tend to last 12 to 15 years. Hot water heaters are usually 7 to 10. If you keep metal outdoor items like grills, fire pits, furniture, be prepared for that to break down faster. Our metal fire pit only made it 2 years before it began to rust through. My kids had a play dome at one point, and it only lasted a few years as well because the metal began to become brittle and break. Plastic that's been exposed to the sun can also sometimes become brittle and break down as well, so keep that in mind for pool pumps or exposed pipes for plumbing. Speaking of plumbing, let's talk about the local water. Notably, I want to discuss this in relation to Cape Coral, as that seems to be the most newsworthy of the cities. Southwest Florida derives its water from the underground Florida aqueduct system, and Cape Coral was originally developed without utilities. However, the city has played some makeup in getting those utilities added in, including water and sewer lines now. At this point, with the exception of 2 to 3 streets, all of South Cape is on the city water and sewer grid. The rest in the northern parts of the city are still on well and septic, with a future plan in the works to add them to the grid in sections. I will say that the project has been delayed. North 1 West is currently under construction, and they were supposed to assess the next one, North 1 East, this past year, but now it's scheduled out for 2027. So while it's helpful to know where the construction is heading, I take its date ranges with a little bit of a grain of salt. But it does give a good roadmap for what to expect and where they're planning to move towards. Also, keep in mind that dates shown on the map are the date of the assessment. Each home in that area will be assigned an assessment amount that's going to be based off road frontage. We were in our previous home when assessments came, and our bill was roughly $36,000 for the assessment, and that's before the hookup fees. For those who cannot pay the fees outright, then it's going to be tacked onto the tax bill with property taxes. Keep in mind there is a slight increase in fee for doing this, so if it's possible to pay off the assessment, then doing so is a wise idea. These assessments are also really important to look at for any homes in Cape Coral already connected, to be sure that they're either already paid off or are going to be able to be negotiable, or maybe pay them off during closing is usually an option too. The assessments is also why house prices tend to be a little bit higher in the South Cape neighborhoods, as these assessments being paid as an asset and it's increased the house values. One more thing to discuss about Cape Coral's water, and that's to do with the wells. There have been issues in the Northern Cape Coral well system running dry. During periods of drought, some wells have not been dug deep enough, and it's causing them to have some water issues. There's been a ton of building going on in North Cape Coral, and the additional people have put a strain on the section of aqueduct that serves them. In order to combat this, the city has reprioritized areas of the city's system expansion to get them off the individual wells and onto the city grid faster. There's also lawn watering restrictions in place to help conserve as well. All this to say that I wouldn't let it scare you off though. Cape is an old pro at this point with the water system, and a knowledgeable agent's gonna help be able to walk you through the particulars of any home you may be looking for. Since we're talking about Cape Coral, let's also talk about the city's favorite animal. No, it's not alligators. Despite the miles and miles of water, alligators are not as threatening in Cape Coral as one might believe. They're around, sure, but they typically don't live in salt water, only use it to pass through to swim through locations. So let's talk about this adorable guy, the burrowing owl. At last count, Cape Coral is home to roughly 10,000 burrowing owls, thanks to the open fields cleared when they made the city, and it's the perfect nesting environment for them. They are everywhere. They are also protected. It's a regulation to give them a nesting space of 10 feet, and tampering with a burrowing owl, its eggs, or its nest is also protected by the Federal Migratory Bird Treaty Act. This impacts building on some lots, so if you're looking to buy land, please be aware that a burrow could impact both your build timing, since you can only build during certain times of the year that are non-breeding times, as well as cost. For each burrow needing to be moved, for the build envelope, cost can be thousands of dollars extra and lots of extra permits. Lee County actually has a biologist on staff to help with these questions though, so feel free to utilize them. It's not uncommon to see our burrowing owls in fields, but also in parks, at schools, in people's yards, and even in road medians. They're just so cute. I love them. Burrowing owls are also not only our protected species, but so are dolphins, manatees, and gopher tortoises can also pop up on that list. Gopher tortoise burrows have an even larger span of protected space, as their burrows are vital for over 350 species. This actually makes them a keystone species. And lastly, let's talk about seller's disclosures. I'm sure you're thinking that all of this is going to be located on your seller's disclosures, right? Maybe, and maybe not. In Florida, it is a requirement to disclose all material known facts. However, how a homeowner chooses to disclose that can vary. We do have seller's disclosure forms available, and we do encourage our sellers to fill them out. However, it's not a requirement that they do so. So it is possible that a buyer will not receive a copy of the seller's disclosures at the time of sale. I strongly encourage all buyers to do their due diligence and both inspect and research their home as best they can. All right, everyone, which of these were most important to you? If you think I missed something really important, please comment below so I can add it to my list for a future video. And as promised at the beginning, I have a special announcement. We have given a lot of thought on how we can best serve our people, and we're offering a new class that's going to be available on Zoom for anyone thinking of moving to Southwest Florida. This is going to be a live class, and we can go over all the ins and outs of what it's like to move here and answer any questions that you may have live. Our Gulf Coast game plan, as we're calling it, is going to help you go from those snow boots to sunshine, and we're holding it on October 1st to get you here in time. For more details and a sign up for the class, head on over to my link tree where you can find the link to sign up, as well as links for my 96-page moving guide, Moving to Lee County, and direct access to the MLS to search for homes on my website. If you think you're really wanting to pick my brain, or you want to discuss the ins and outs of your own personal situation, I love talking to y'all. So feel free to book an appointment with me directly. I love to jump on video calls with people and talk about what your needs are and whether or not Southwest Florida is going to be a good fit for you. As a heads up, my video schedule can sometimes be erratic. I'm a realtor, but I'm also a mom and a volunteer in community, and I make these videos when I have a spare moment from serving my people. So I really recommend that if you'd like more videos like this, then don't forget to hit subscribe so you'll be notified when I drop another one. Also, while we may not be on here daily, we do pretty much post daily over on social media, things that might be of interest like weekly articles and information that you may find handy and give you insight as to what life over here in Florida looks like. As always, we really appreciate when you leave us a comment and hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bells so that you can be notified when we drop future videos that may help you with living in Southwest Florida. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I wish you much health and happiness.